What are some misunderstandings that the public may have incorrect about the sheriff's department? Because I'm sure you've heard many.
Oh, I have over the years, and first of all, I'd like to correct you.
Sure.
It's not a department, it's an office. And the
Okay.
difference in that is, and I have to educate people to this, an office is one runs for and is elected by the people of the community. A department is when you're appointed to a position, such as a police chief or whatever that position might be. So there's no electorate process to work for a department, but there is to work for an office, to run an office.
Okay.
So that's one big misunderstanding a lot of times people have about the sheriff's office. But to answer that question, that office has basically three prongs to it. I have some duties that I have to perform by statute. And the first and the top priority duty for that office is to service the courts of Perry County. We have three that we're directly responsible for. We have municipal court there by Judge Wilson. We have juvenile court with Judge Cooper Ryder, and of course common pleas court with Judge Boyer. And I have a ministerial duty to each of those courts to handle the processes from those courts. Now, those are subpoenas, those are summonses, those are jury notices, those are warrants, those are orders to convey, orders to remove, all dealing with the service of paperwork and transporting and moving people to and from either the jail or from prison, or going and picking up people that have to testify in court or be on jury duty. And that's my first and most prioritized job for the office of sheriff. The second priority job that I have is the management or overseeing of the jail facility. I have quite an obligation there to provide a jail that meets the minimum standards in Ohio that require the jails to have certain services available for people who are incarcerated, like bed space, like recreational time, like outdoor recreation, like visitation rights, like space available for their sleeping quarters, a safe environment, and other services that the jail provides for them, such as like a library or places where they can go read, or where they can meet with a pastor, or where they can get dental work or whatever medical need that person may have. I serve on the board at the Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail. I'm the only board member left there that was there when that jail was opened and started in 1996, I believe. Everybody else has either come and passed away, or moved on to another, or never got reappointed to those positions they held as elected officials. We're made up of auditors, of commissioners, of sheriffs that sit on that board, and there's 12 of us down there that work with the warden we have hired there. So that is one of my biggest liabilities there as sheriff, making sure that that facility is operated and the standards for Ohio are met right there. In fact, I just reviewed the jail report that was mailed to me just last week. It was, and our jail once again has made the standards and met all the requirements that are necessary to run a full service jail and be compliant with the rules set down by the Ohio Bureau of Adult Detention. That's very important. That's extremely important for the sheriff to have a facility like that that meets those standards. I would be placing an inmate in a position where it didn't meet those standards and would be subjecting our county to a huge liability. And that's not what I'm about. I want to make sure that we have a good facility there, that it's run properly. The third prong of that job then comes to law enforcement, and it is the least of those three priorities. And one might say, well, why is law enforcement is so far down on the list? Well, those three things, court couldn't function without the sheriff taking care of his duties. We wouldn't have inmates in jail to bring to court. And first and last, we got to catch them to start with, right? So the enforcement part of that plays a significant role in the duties of a sheriff right there. So that's kind of the misconception a lot of people have as far as myself, my job as sheriff, what I oversee, what I'm responsible to manage, and where I direct our priorities to. That sum that up?
I like that answer. That's a good answer. I've read quite a bit about what sheriff's duties are, and that's kind of like the word department versus office. It's difficult to talk about that and be entirely accurate, because like sheriff is one thing, but then the department, the deputies, is plays those roles that you would then manage. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, because what's the point of policing if on the back end they're just walking outside the jail or not being prosecuted or whatnot? So yeah, that's a good answer.
Well, I didn't say wasn't being prosecuted or walked out the jail. You got the thing that people a lot of times, and you've mentioned I get criticized a lot of times or sometimes about people getting released. That's not in my lane.
Right.
Our job is to take the complaint from a citizen, investigate it. If we find a suspect and we have enough evidence to present a case to the prosecutor's office and charge that person, and then our last goal was to testify in court. Somewhere in between there, those people have certain rights, certain bonds, certain chances to be released from jail for whatever reason it might be, but that's not within the control of the sheriff's office. And a lot of people think, well, we catch them when we turn them loose. We're going to let them out the next day. Believe me, that's not our decision.
Yeah.
And if people would understand that, and I think most people get that, they understand that, but you get a few of the critics that think, well, you arrest them today and they're out tonight. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
It happens.
In some circumstances, yeah.
It very well happens, and they get frustrated with that. And believe me, I understand that frustration because I receive that frustration from people. Why is this guy back out here? Why is this pedophile back out here living in this neighborhood right here next to my house or next to this area right here? And they get so wound up about that. But in that, if they feel that frustration, please call. Please call and ask and discuss that with us. We're happy to try and answer those questions when people get released for reasons that's out of our control. And I would appreciate that and be very respectful and try to answer those people's questions.
Right.
Should that happen.
I like what you're alluding to right now, but you're not saying it because it sounds probably obvious to you or even to me. But if someone is concerned about someone in their neighborhood or whatever the situation is, and I call you, the reason behind that call is to probably help provide some details on some of the procedures that would allow said person in public, for example, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those the reasons they're released from jail or arrested and released that day are things that's not in our control. But I can find out that answer why.
Right.
I can find out why the courts or why the prosecutor's office did those things they did. And it's usually typically a procedural thing. It's not that they're in error. It's that people don't understand how the system works and they're frustrated with that. You know, we've had cases that's taken us 6 months to a year to get in front of a judge, get into a trial like that. And here all along, you got people sitting back waiting for this to happen. And it's not anything within my control.
Yeah.
But I'll be very happy to address that with people.
Yeah. Well, it's not a TV show, so you can't wrap up somebody in 5 minutes. So
hey, we have, but not that often. No.
Right.
No.
Right. All right.